welcome out here to the garden. We're going to do a quick little garden update. So I wanted to show you kind of the progress that things have made. So we're going to start here in one of the onion beds. As you can see, they are doing pretty well. You can start to see some of the bulbs coming up from the bottom of the soil there. I have been topping them, so if you look at the end of these, you'll see that they've been cut. Because if you don't do that, they tend to kind of push over the onion, and then when the neck gets kind of bent in half, the onion's going to stop growing. So in order to keep it so it doesn't flop over too soon before it's done growing, kind of trim them out so that they stay a little bit lower. Also, when you look at the onions, so some of them have a lot of the stems coming up here. I don't even know if that's what it's called, but that's what we're calling them. This tells you how many layers of the onion there's going to be. So some of the really bigger ones, you'll see, like say this one for example, this has a lot of different stems coming up from there. So that's going to be a pretty big bulb. It's going to have a lot of layers in it. Okay, over here are our potato bins. On hindsight, we probably would have used a bigger setup for these because there wasn't enough room. We could have probably gone with something a little bit deeper, so we could have kept adding more compost to them. But they've done really, really well. As you can see, they're starting to slowly die back now, which is fine. Once they are all died back, then that's when we can start harvesting them out of there. And that's the fun part, because you can kind of dump the whole bin and start digging through and find all of the potatoes that are in there. And I can't remember how many we planted in each one, maybe a dozen, something like that. And so when we do that harvesting, we'll take you guys along so you can see that too. So this big center bed here, we have a mix of zucchinis, yellow squashes, and green beans. So the zucchinis, they are actually doing very well. I know they look kind of a little strange with some of the spots, but if you look in there, you'll see there's a nice one in there. There's some other ones too that are little babies that are just starting to grow. Zucchinis generally do really well. You might be able to see in the video too above me is this shade that we have up here. Things like zucchinis and squashes, they don't like a lot of that really heavy sun that's really hot, so we put the shade over it, and this, I forget the percentage of it, but it only blocks out a certain percentage of the sun, but it just helps them in the real high heat days. The green beans are doing very well. We do have to pick a bunch of them, but if you look over here, you can see they're all coming in really nicely too. And our plans for these, we are going to just regularly can some in a pressure canner, but also make dilly beans with those. They're really good. This is my herbs, all of my herb garden that I have. You can see I have quite a few basil plants. They are all getting pretty big, a little overdue in harvesting them. So I'll do another video where I show you how to make pesto with that. I know some people don't like pesto. We love it. So I'll show you how to do that. It's really easy. I also have some cilantro through here. This back here is my stevia. We use that for sweetening drinks and things like that. My plan is to dry that and to turn it into a powder to use in drinks. Also have oregano, dill, and these over here are all my parsley. So this big bed here, these are my little pride and joy, are cabbages, broccoli, and cauliflower. And if you look close in some of these, you'll see, look at the tiny little head. It's so cute. It's like the size of a softball right now. They're doing so well. You have to be careful with these because they do have some natural predators that are out there. The little white butterflies, they will come and they lay their eggs in there and it kind of ruins everything. But knock on wood, over there, everything's been really good. So we're just waiting on some more with the broccoli and cauliflower. They're a little bit further behind than the cabbages are. So down here I have my mint plant. This almost has like a chocolatey mint taste to it. It's really good. I use them in smoothies and drinks and things like that. I'm also planning on drying that as well. I have it in a container because mint is very invasive and it will take over your entire yard. So you don't want to plant that in a bed. Even in a raised bed, it'll tunnel down and come up. Okay, this bed here has our pickles and cucumbers. You can see a really nice pickle here that is ready to go. And then some other ones through here, all various stages of them. They're all doing very well. And then over on this side is where we have the cucumbers. They look very similar, but these will get much bigger than the pickles did. So these still have a ways to go until they're ready to go. We're gonna make pickles, all different kinds of pickles, and probably some relish too. This bed has our kale and our romaine lettuce. And if you look at these, I think we talked in one of the other videos about harvesting this. And if you take those outer leaves, it just keeps growing. So especially when you look at the romaine, you can see all the different layers that we've taken off at the bottom, but they're still producing like crazy. We have gotten so many greens off of these. They're doing very well. Well, this is our sad looking spaghetti squash. I don't think it really likes being in the container very well. We have another one that's planted in one of the other gardens that we'll show you that just seems to be doing much better. But as you can see, I do have a nice little spaghetti squash growing on here. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on this. We've been really dry here, not a lot of rain, so that's probably part of the problem too. Over here we have more green beans. So you can see they also are about ready for picking as well. So we'll get those picked off. So you've heard of children of the corn. I'm like the lady of the sunflowers in here. So these are sunflowers that we are growing. You can see actually they're doing pretty well. This one's getting ready to bloom, but this one back here is already kind of starting. Looking pretty good. We got these going for the chickens, so that we heard that they really like those. So in the front here we have our okra. It's had a rough year. We were hoping to pickle it this year. We'll see how it's going. Obviously something's been enjoying it before we got a chance to, so we'll see how they turn out at the end of the growing season. In the back here we have the last of our radishes. They're about ready for harvest too. Some of them are a little overgrown. We'll take all those out as well. And again, like I said in the radish video, the chickens love those greens, so we'll chop those up for them. In the center here is more onions. Again, you can see that I kind of top them so they all stand up pretty straight. They're doing really well. Back here is my corn. It's doing very well as well. Pretty healthy looking. They're just starting to get their little feathers in the center of those. In the front, there's some more green beans as well. These are a little bit further behind than the ones up front that we showed you in the other beds. But they're coming along well too. We have a few pepper plants in the center here. They're just starting to flower, so fairly soon we should start to see little baby peppers. And these are some of our tomato plants. We have all different kinds, but you can see that there are some little baby tomatoes on some of them. They're just starting to flower. What we need to do next is probably come in here and thin these out and trim out, so we want to keep some good airflow in there to keep away any disease. All right, next we'll take you over to the side garden over here we have in the ground. We don't have it in a raised bed, so let's go take a look. Okay, so we're over here in the side garden. As you can see, we just put down the woven fabric so that we planted right into the ground, and these plants are doing wonderful. These are all the cabbages They are doing great. They're a little bit further behind than the other ones that we planted, but they all are coming along really nicely. Next in here, back here, this is one plant. This is the spaghetti squash. So remember I showed you that ugly one over there that didn't look too good? Planted at the same time, and this one is doing fantastic. So we expect that to be very fruitful for us. Right here is an eggplant. It's coming along pretty well too. It's very healthy looking. They take a little bit longer sometimes to flower. So here we have some more peppers. They are starting to get their flowers as well. And I believe on one or two of these there are some little baby peppers. I think that's over there. This one here is our watermelon. So not only do we enjoy those, but the chickens do as well. So we're hoping to get some watermelons that we can share with them this summer. Again, more peppers, more cabbages, and tomatoes over here. So that's about it. We're hoping to be able to do a lot of canning this year and have a lot of things to carry us through the winter. So thanks for coming along. Whoops. Life in the country. Those processed.
Do a little dance.
No, there's no dancing.
All right, I guess that's it.
You can't make it too long. You're gonna